In 30 days, I went from confidently making every major decision alone to realizing I had been operating with a massive blind spot my entire adult life. This is exactly what happened. I handed AI every significant choice I faced. A $14,000 business investment, a hiring decision, a partnership offer, even a personal financial pivot, and I told it to push back hard, not to agree with me, to find the holes. And what came back was uncomfortable. Not because the AI was smarter, but because it asked questions I had been unconsciously avoiding for years. The kind of questions that expose the gap between what you think you're deciding and what you're actually deciding. If you've ever made a confident call that quietly unraveled 6 months later, this video is going to hit differently. Stay with me. Let me paint you an honest picture of where I was before this experiment. I consider myself a reasonably sharp decision maker. I read books on cognitive bias. I knew about the sunk cost fallacy. I journaled. I talked things through with smart people I trusted. By every outward measure, I had a solid decision-making process. But here's what I kept ignoring. My track record. 3 business decisions in the last 2 years that looked right on paper and quietly bled money. A partnership I held on to 6 months longer than I should have because I liked the person involved. A pricing strategy I defended for 8 months straight despite the data suggesting otherwise. Because changing it felt like admitting I was wrong. I wasn't making bad decisions because I lacked information. I was making bad decisions because I had a vested emotional interest in specific outcomes. And every human in my life, friends, mentors, colleagues, they all had the same problem. They cared about me, which meant they softened their feedback, which meant I kept getting politely validated right into costly mistakes. Now here's what most people do when they feel stuck in bad decision patterns. And you've probably tried at least 2 of these. First, you seek more opinions, you poll your network, you post in a forum, you ask 5 people and average their answers. Second, you consume more information. Another book, another podcast, another framework. You learn about first principles thinking or the Eisenhower matrix and feel like you've upgraded your process. Third, you try to slow down. You sleep on it. You meditate. You journal the same circular thoughts in slightly different handwriting. And fourth, and this one is sneaky, you find one trusted advisor, one mentor or coach, and you outsource the final gut check to them. None of these are bad strategies. I've used all 4. The problem isn't the method. The problem is the source. Every opinion comes filtered through someone's own biases, their relationship with you, their risk tolerance, their blind spots. The book was written by someone with survivorship bias. Your mentor's best advice is based on a market that existed 5 years ago. You're making 2024 decisions with 2019 frameworks and calling it wisdom. Here's the core reason all of those strategies eventually fail you. They all rely on consensus, and consensus is the enemy of clarity when you're the one with incomplete self-awareness. Think about it. When you ask someone for feedback on a decision you've already emotionally committed to, you're not actually asking for an honest assessment. You're asking for permission. You want them to either validate your choice so you can move forward or give you a strong enough counter-argument that you feel justified in changing course without feeling like you failed. What you almost never get is someone who will sit with you, ask you 17 uncomfortable follow-up questions, refuse to let you off the hook on a vague answer, and hold 0 emotional stake in what you decide. That person doesn't exist in most people's lives. I know because I spent 2 years looking for mine. The other failure point is time. Good decision support requires availability. Your mentor isn't available at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday when you're staring at a contract deadline. Your friend who gives real talk has their own crisis right now. The decision doesn't wait, so you default. You go with your gut. And your gut has been wrong before. You just blame the outcome on circumstances instead of the choice. The shift happened on day 4 of the experiment, not day 1. Day 4, because on day 1 I treated the AI like a search engine. I gave it a decision and asked what I should do. And the output was generic, usable but not revelatory. Then on day 4 I changed the prompt. Instead of asking for a recommendation, I typed this. Here is a decision I'm considering. I want you to assume I've already made up my mind. Your job is not to help me decide. Your job is to find every assumption I'm making that I haven't questioned yet, every risk I'm underweighting, and every motivation I might have that has nothing to do with the stated goal. Be direct. Do not soften this. What came back stopped me mid-sip of coffee. For the $14,000 investment decision, the AI identified that 3 of my 5 justifications were actually. By day 30, something fundamental had shifted. Not in my decisions, but in my decision-making identity. I passed on the $14,000 investment. Not because the AI told me to, because the AI helped me see that I was chasing a result I actually didn't want. I wanted the feeling of having made a bold move. 2 very different things. The hiring decision I was agonizing over got resolved in a single session when the AI pointed out I had described the same candidate concern 3 separate times using different language, which meant it was a real deal-breaker I was negotiating with myself to ignore. And the partnership offer, the one that came with a compelling pitch and good optics, I declined it. The AI's analysis wasn't negative, but it surfaced a question I couldn't answer. What does success look like in this partnership in 18 months, specifically? I didn't have an answer, and I realized I had been about to sign something based entirely on short-term momentum and the discomfort of saying no to someone I respected. None of these were AI decisions. They were my decisions, finally stripped of the emotional noise I had been mistaking for intuition. Let me be precise about what changed and what didn't. What didn't change? The AI did not become my decision maker. I want to be clear about that because it matters. The AI doesn't know your life. It doesn't know your risk tolerance, your relationships, your values in full context. What changed was my relationship with my own reasoning. When you're forced to articulate a decision clearly enough for an AI to analyze it, you can't hide behind vague language anymore. Vagueness is where bad decisions live. This feels right is not a reason. It's a placeholder for a reason you haven't found yet. The process also changed my relationship with speed. I used to equate fast decisions with confidence. Now I see fast decisions as a signal to slow down and check what I'm avoiding. The third thing that changed was accountability. When you log a decision in an AI tool with your reasoning attached, and then you see the outcome 3 months later, you can't revise history. The record exists. That alone has made me more honest with myself than any journal I've kept in the last decade. Here's exactly how to run this experiment yourself starting this week. Step 1. Pick one real pending decision, something with actual stakes, not a low-risk choice you're comfortable with. Step 2. Write out your full reasoning as if you're explaining it to someone who doesn't know you. Include the goal, the options you considered, the one you're leaning toward, and why. Minimum 3 paragraphs. Step 3. Use this exact prompt structure. Tell the AI to assume you've already decided and ask it to identify unquestioned assumptions, underweighted risks, and hidden motivations that may not align with your stated goal. Step 4. Do not respond defensively. Sit with what comes back for at least an hour before you re-engage. Step 5. Log the decision and the AI's challenge in a dedicated place. Date it. Come back in 60 days. The tool I've been using throughout this entire experiment, and the one I'd recommend for building this into a daily practice, is Claude. It handles complex, nuanced reasoning prompts exceptionally well. And unlike simpler AI tools, it pushes back with specificity rather than generalities. You can start with a free account and run this exact process today. Link is in the description. The investment is your time and your honesty. The return is decisions you can actually stand behind. If this experiment taught me one thing, it's that the most dangerous decisions aren't the ones you make under pressure. They're the ones you make while completely convinced you've already thought it through. The gap between feeling certain and being right is where most costly mistakes live. And closing that gap doesn't require a smarter brain. It requires a process that asks you better questions than you're willing to ask yourself. If you want to go deeper on AI-assisted thinking and decision frameworks, the next video covers exactly how to build a personal AI decision audit system from scratch. Watch that next. Drop a comment below. What's one decision you've been circling that you haven't been fully honest with yourself about? I read every comment, and if you found this useful, subscribe. We publish new AI tool breakdowns every week that most people in your industry aren't watching yet. Disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. AI results vary. Always verify AI-generated content before relying on it.